Now some other ways that I can deal with this. I'm just going to take this guy and create UVs, and I'm going to go and do an automatic map on this. And what I'm going to do with the automatic map is just quickly reset this. I'm going to make sure to set it to as many as possible, as little distortion as possible. And I'm not going to worry about any of the stacking or anything like that. I'm going to change that anyways. Grab all of these and snap them apart. So basically I've cut every single edge on this object. What I've done by this method of projection is to minimize the amount of distortion going on overall. And I'm going to show you just a quick little trick. So I'm going to go ahead, select that loop, and this loop. I'm going to shift select, which is basically going to invert the selection, so anything that was selected is now unselected. And I'm just going to go ahead and hit my move and so. And the end result, funny enough, ends up something like this. So in some cases you can get some pretty nice unwraps without actually using any of the other tools, just doing some unique trickery like that. So I've done this on certain body parts. It's worked out fairly well. Of course you can use other different projections. So the automatic mapping is sort of a box mapping, but you can add more planes to it. We have the spherical mapping, which unwraps like a sphere, cylindrical mapping, which unwraps like a cylinder, planar mapping, which is just a projection from a orthographic camera as opposed to perspective projection. And we have based on the camera, and then we have a best plane, which uses the normals of the object in order to calculate where to put that. So let's take a look at some of these projection mapping tools. Just going to leave that view for a moment. And I'm going to go ahead and do a cylindrical map. A cylindrical map gives me this interesting little gizmo here. So what we have is a sort of rotation handle that's on here. These guys basically control the connection of the edges, so you can drag them around. We have a scale in this specific direction. And then we have, when we really need something unique, this guy's just basically a move and rotate option, but when we need something specific, we have this tiny little T. So every time you create one of these projections, you'll see this tiny little T, which is your transform tool, which ends up looking kind of like the tool that you use for extrusions and so on. And it's basically the everything tool. It's got the movement, it's got the scale, and it's got the rotation. So you can do arbitrary rotations, movements, and overall scaling. Again, scaling. Now, of course, this all impacts in your view what it ends up looking like. So if I were to use the scale here, if I were to take these handles and pull them out, how it would cover that overall space. So this is how these things work. And we have one of these for pretty much every type. So if I were to go ahead and create UV's planar map, well, you notice it's going to go ahead and use whatever settings I've had here. So create planar map options is currently using the x-axis, so it's projecting in the x-axis. Bounding box basically says that it will go ahead and try and align itself to the shape of the polygon, to its borders. And again, we have these little handles that will change these things. Non-uniform scale in one direction or another if you find that it's giving you kind of a squat shape. And of course the transform tool, which will allow you to go into that multi-mode and deal with that. Create UVs. Spherical mapping, same deal. Cover the entire thing, and that's that. Now additionally, in some cases you may want to have more than one UV set. Perhaps you want to use one UV set for a special neural map versus a texture map, and you can do that by right-clicking on this guy. You got UV sets, and you can go ahead and go to the UV set editor. You'll see that I've got multiple projections going on here. One map, but you see multiple projections going on. I'm just going to go to the UV set editor, and you'll see there's just a single one here. I can create a new one. I can rename that one. I won't be able to delete it because it's my original, but I can copy it. And then we have things called Propagate and Unmapped. Unmapped will select all your currently existing polygons that don't have UVs assigned to them. So if you have one that has no UVs, it will do that. And Propagate is basically copying the name of the UV set to multiple objects. So if I had other objects here, say this lovely cylinder, and I went and created a new one, which I will rename to Booga. And I would take that one and select this guy, and I say Propagate. What happens now is this guy, let's try that again, Propagate, he now has Booga. And really it's just an empty UV set. It's got the name on it, but it doesn't actually provide anything other than that, so it shares the name in general. With these guys, if we go into, again, our UVs, we can select them by highlighting one or the other that we want. We have the ability to do the UV linking as well. So the UV linking options allows you to pick a map and what shaders or other things that you've assigned to these guys, and what they should be assigned to. So you can pick your way through anything that you've assigned to this object and use that.